No,
Yes,
only within the
there
realm of
is
like
right and there is
physics.
wrong, and that is objective. We
Absolutely not. There's no such thing. Right and wrong exist only within the human brain. Right and wrong only exist within the human brain.
You made me watch a Michael Knowles video
I made you watch the
several
Michael
weeks
Knowles
ago.
video. Okay, yeah,
Yeah, you
because
did.
he was complaining about the transits. Yeah, yeah.
And now YouTube has decided that I really like Michael Knowles.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Even though I didn't
I
know
apologize.
who he was
I
before
mean,
you told me.
he's headlining CPAC. It's not like
I get it,
he's
but
nobody.
it keeps recommending speeches, and one of his speeches actually caught my attention.
Okay.
And it's a speech called "The Libs Are Wrong About Everything."
Oh, wow. Oh
And
my
I
goodness.
was like, whoa, that's a headline. So I clicked on it, and I found that actually there is, at least at the beginning of the speech, something that I thought was very interesting for our stream.
Okay.
And it's actually at one point, remember a couple of streams ago when I said you get what you earn?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he makes a very similar comment here. And I was like, oh, that sounds a lot like me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, he characterizes your position as a, I won't call you a liberal, but for leftists,
Mm-hmm.
about what it is that you value the most. And I was like, oh, that sounds like Waldo. Also, he talks about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember during our short abortion conversation, you agreed that yes, the baby is a human life, or the fetus in the womb is a human life that is fine to kill because it is an impediment upon the woman's choice
It's not how
or
I would have
autonomy.
put it, but fine.
And I was like, man, that sounds exactly like what I just talked to Waldo about.
And then I'm gonna hit play.
Sense in light of
All right.
reality, but they do make sense relative to one another. There is a kind of consistency to not just his, but to all liberal views, even if it doesn't always seem so on the surface. On the surface, it seems absurd that liberals support abortion but oppose the death penalty. They reject the right of the civil authority to punish criminals, but they support the arbitrary murder of innocent babies.
All right, pause it.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So
All right.
this sounds like a lot of our recent
No,
conversations,
he's
actually.
mischaracterizing the left's complaint about the death penalty.
What is the
He's
complaint?
done the thing that he's making the wrong argument and saying that that's our argument.
What
The
is your
left
argument?
disapproves of the death penalty, not because it is more expensive, and generally I'm not super hard against it. I recognize that it should be fine for 100% murderers, people who are absolutely admitted that they did it, and we find that they are not acceptable to put into a prison. This isn't about life. It's about the state's power. I don't
Interesting.
want the state to have the power to willy-nilly murder people. And I don't want the state to have power over the choice a woman has to make when she's pregnant. So, I'm sorry.
I think
I'm
that you might be one of the more moderate leftists in this case because
yeah, I know. I
in terms of the
recognize,
death
yes.
penalty,
In terms of the death penalty, I think you're
I
right.
think that the left in general, and which is where he's coming from,
Very much against it.
is the
You're
left
right.
in general is very much against the death penalty, and he's about to talk about why.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I knew this would happen. Okay. I'm going to hit play.
Conservatives take the opposite view. We tend to support capital punishment and we oppose infanticide. So are we all just hypocrites? No, I don't think so. I don't think either side is hypocritical, really. Both sides are just following their premises to their logical conclusions. Conservatives tend to believe that justice derives from the objective moral order, which human beings naturally perceive through our conscience, and to which we are all accountable whether we like it or not.
Pause it here.
Justice, which means rendering...
There is no such thing as an objective moral order. Get the fuck out of here. There
Really?
is no such thing as an objective moral order. God, no.
Interesting.
No, there's no such thing.
I think
Pretending
you
that
and I
there
differ
is,
there.
pretending that there is akin to a religious belief.
He definitely derives the idea of an objective moral order from religion,
From his religion, yes.
but I will say that I do think that there is a value to an objective moral order, or at least assuming that there is one. Because a subjective moral order allows for whatever you want. We can look back at a previous moral order, right, of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
for example.
That was a
Well-
moral order. I agree.
If it was okay to do slavery back then, and we know
wasn't.
that that was bad, well, it was to the people back then, right?
They were wrong.
And they were wrong.
Great.
Okay, hold
Someday-
on. Whoa.
Okay, sorry.
If they were wrong, then the moral order is not subjective, because to them, the moral order was fine.
It's entirely subjective. We just told them it was wrong. They will look you, those people who lived under that moral order and thought that it was objectively correct will look you in the eye and tell you it is objectively moral order for us to have slavery.
No.
That's what they do. That's what they will do. They thought it was acceptable, and so they did it. And we're telling them that
When
it's
you
wrong
look at them,
because there is no objective moral order. No such thing.
and
Never has been.
so you tell them that it's wrong,
Yes.
and they think that it's right.
Yes. They think it's the objective moral order.
No, I think that you have an idea of an objective moral order in your head,
No.
and you know that
avoid-
slavery is wrong.
I know it's wrong based on the evidence and the outcome. And the, like he
which
did actually
is
get something.
objective.
What was that thing he said? The premise. Yes. I start from certain premises and follow those premises out. That's the thing that I do. He's correct there, saying that the left has a handful of premises that they follow to the end. That's what everybody does or should do.
So does the right.
So does
That's
the right.
the point he's making.
Right. And
Because we come from very different
theirs on the right
values. That's where
has an
our separation
objective moral order. He just said that the right has an objective moral order.
comes.
And I don't think that exists. It's never existed.
You don't.
And he can't prove it. No.
Well, certainly you can't prove that exists. I think we know right from wrong, though. I think that if we really parse it out, there is at least a certain standard that should be upheld universally, right?
No.
Okay,
There is
so
nothing
some
is
societies
universal.
should be
Nothing is universal.
allowed to have. So some societies should be allowed to have slavery.
No. I don't
Well,
want any of
then-
them to. They shouldn't be allowed to do
I don't
such a
care
thing.
what you want.
Okay, great. That's all
No,
that
I'm
matters.
talking about-
There is no fact.
No, I'm
Mhm.
talking about what should be.
Great.
Where does the should come from?
Our own minds when we build ethics.
He just mentioned that, though,
Right.
isn't it?
And he
It's-
said
it's
he's
about
objectively correct. That's what he's telling me.
on.
Objective moral order means that exactly
I do
what
think
we
there is
say
an
is
objective moral
correct.
order. Yes, stealing is bad, killing is bad.
unless you're a
Uh,
soldier, right? So there are ways around it.
Hold on.
Right.
It-
That's what I'm saying. There is no objective moral order. There's no such thing. There never has been.
No,
And
no,
you will
there is
find
still an objective.
holes
There,
in it.
that is not inconsistent with an objective moral order. Being a
course it
soldier
is.
is facing a threat against your nation or to
Mm-hmm. And you killed people, but killing's bad.
the
So there
killing
are
is bad.
exceptions. All right, now we're getting somewhere. So there are
There are
exceptions.
exceptions,
There are
except that those
loopholes.
are
There are
still
reasons to do
those
such certain
those
things.
can still exist within an objective moral order.
They literally can't.
Yes, they
Then it's
literally
not
can.
objective. Then it's not objective.
It is objective.
And it's not
No,
universal. If exceptions and loopholes exist, it's not universal, it's not objective.
totally silly. If exceptions, loopholes exist, then it's not objective. Is a ridiculous
It becomes
assertion.
subjective.
No,
Where do
because
you get that
no, it's
loophole? How do
not.
we measure that loophole? How do we determine whether or not somebody was killed within the bounds of a war and a soldier? Is Al Qaeda a member a soldier? Not
I'll take
really.
it. I'll
There.
take it a step back here.
So it's subjective.
If someone attacks you and you kill them in self-defense, was that objectively wrong to do?
We have to. I don't make
Oh, it's a
decisions
yes.
based. I don't make decisions based on objective morality. I make things off of subjective morality. What did you do? Why did you do it? How did this happen? What are the criteria that
That's
led to
not
this
subjective.
situation? That's subjective. I'm taking
No, it's
the
not.
situations and describing them and comprehending them and saying yes that this one is correct and no this one is not correct.
No, you have the wrong definition of objective and subjective then.
I don't think so. Subjective means asking questions. Subjective suggests
Objective
that you.
means facts, and
Objective means
subjective
facts.
means feelings.
I don't think so. But
It does.
no, subjective means what the people are thinking and what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it.
Negative.
My ankle hurts. That's a subjective statement. I have a broken ankle. That is an objective statement because you can see it with like an x-ray. So that's an objective thing. Subjective means my ankle hurts.
Okay. And
That's basically my definition.
someone says
Yes.
my ankle hurts, and we do a whole bunch of scans on them, and we figure out why it is that their ankle hurts. That'd be
Right.
objective, right?
Yeah, that's objective. Yes.
And what if we do all those scans and say there's nothing wrong with you?
We try to treat their subjective issue. You do your best to solve that subjective issue, unless you think they're lying for some reason. But hey, my ankle hurts. Let's try and fix it. I don't see an object. I don't see a broken thing, but I trust you and I believe you. So we're going to try to give you some Motrin. We're going to give you some Tylenol. Maybe it'll hurt less later.
Take some
But
Tylenol.
under an
ankle
objective,
exercises.
if under an objective worldview, would you not give them any medicine because you don't see anything wrong?
I certainly would not prescribe them Percocet.
Okay, great. And you wouldn't, and neither would I.
Okay,
So
great.
these things
So-
all have to be measured against harm versus benefit versus cost. Harm, benefit, and cost all have to be measured. And if you're measuring harm, benefit, and cost, you don't have an objective moral order. You simply don't.
No, that all those things fit within an objective moral order. They do.
I don't see how, but do you want to go on with this video? Because I think
Sure.
he's going to describe it
Yeah.
a little bit more, maybe.
He might. Yeah. Let me know. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
Ready, go.
To each and to all what belongs to them impels us to protect the innocent and to punish the guilty. The two impulses derive from the same premise, namely the premise that man is made in the image and likeness of God. That is the only way that man can be said to have any rights at all. Therefore, whosoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. No hypocrisy at all. The two go hand in hand. And the same goes for the liberal position. Liberals support abortion and oppose the death penalty because liberals tend to deny any obligation to an objective moral order. They are liberals.
Hey, it's you.
Hey, it's
They
me.
seek liberation, ultimately, from all constraints, be they political, traditional, familial, moral,
Freedom.
and biological today.
Freedom.
They're trying to liberate themselves from.
Yeah, you're a Satanist.
Many of them deny
Very
that
much.
the moral order even exists. Most of them deny that we can know very much about the moral order, if it does exist. And even if we could know something about the moral order, liberals claim a right to defy it because their highest political goal and good is not justice, but liberation and the endless
Freedom.
expansion of individual autonomy. Babies in the womb are alive and human. Even abortion defenders, when they're being honest, will admit that fact.
Hey, it's you.
Yes.
But those babies in the womb are an impediment to their mother's autonomy.
Yes.
And as babies in the womb, like babies outside of the womb, are not autonomous in themselves, as they do not possess what liberals consider to be the most important human feature, self-determination,
Freedom.
the liberals
Yes.
see no problem killing them.
Great.
Criminals, on the other hand, whatever you want to say about them, they are autonomous.
Mhm.
The abuse of their autonomy is what landed them in prison in the first place. And so liberals feel uneasy executing them or even imprisoning them. Hence the recent liberal campaigns to defund the police and to abolish prisons. The same thinking extends to what is called euthanasia. Euthanasia, which is a euphemism for clinical procedures that run the gamut from assisted suicide to outright murder. We saw the latter example in the Netherlands just a few years ago when doctors killed a woman, a dementia patient, against her will. The family had to hold her down. That was called euthanasia. Now, euthanasia literally means good death, which is ironic because for most of our civilization's history, people have considered murder and suicide, especially, to be the very worst kind of death. Traditionally, when Westerners prayed for a good death, they meant a natural death with plenty of warning so that they could prepare their souls for judgment. Today, when liberals lobby for a good death, they mean precisely the opposite. They mean intentional killing that corrupts both the body and the soul by occurring in the commission of a serious sin.
Religious argument.
Conservatives oppose assisted suicide because we consider suicide an offense against not only the civil law, which in most places today still prohibits suicide, but against the natural law and against God, the author of the natural
Religious
law.
argument. This guy has nothing
We oppose
but
assisted
religion.
suicide because
Oh, he has plenty,
it is
I
the
think.
ultimate expression of despair, and we fear that that will impel the sick and the elderly to kill themselves for fear of being a burden to their families. Liberals tend to support assisted suicide because they view it alternately as the maximal expression of individual autonomy for those people
He
who
won't say the word
choose
freedom.
it, and also
He's
as
not
a
gonna say it.
final remedy for those people, such as dementia patients, for example, who no longer can choose anything at all, and who therefore, according to the liberal view, have lost what most makes them human. So who's right? We've got a consistent conservative view and a consistent liberal view. Do we just agree to disagree? No, of course not. If we're
This is
going to
pretty
have a
much the end
country,
of where he describes.
then we need laws. And if we're going to have laws, we need to come to certain conclusions about what is right
Conclusions.
and what is wrong.
Okay, I'm pausing it right there. Is there more that you would have us see?
No, I think that he characterized the argument very well there, actually.
I think he did, actually. He didn't use the word freedom because he wants to be the Freedom Party. There is a Freedom Party within American politics, and it's not the right. It's the left. And he just described it. He just said autonomy, maximum autonomy, the maximum choices that the liberals want. That is freedom. And that is my entire premise. Maximize human freedom.
Yeah, do what thou wilt, right?
And that leads to leftism, yes.
I got you would agree to the Satanist slogan there. Hilarious.
Because Satan doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a Satan. But I recognize that what the Satanists are doing. There's no such thing as I'm a harsh atheist. There is no God. There is no Satan.
That's fine. That's
So-
fine. Even if you don't believe, and I'm agnostic myself,
Mhm.
but even if you don't, what do you think religion is?
Well, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think what it is now or what it was. I mean, it's a complicated question.
What
it's a
is it?
globally human spanning thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Regardless of which denomination, whether it's Christian or
Mhm.
Hindu or Muslim or or Jewish or uh, what's the other one? Buddhist.
The old Abrahamics. Yeah. It is a belief system,
Okay,
a system of
well,
beliefs.
that's what it is.
Hmm.
I guess would be a good definition of what it is. Uh, Maybe a better question then is why is religion?
Oh, why? There's 1,000 reasons for that. Um, why is it? Uh, it's because humans are afraid of death generally. I think is the base uh, situation. Humans being afraid of death have been uh, trying to comprehend it, and they're afraid of it. And I would suggest, probably, if I had to build you a narrative, that the very first belief system was always based around death. Hey, he died. What happens after that? Or why don't we want to die?
I think that the why of religion is actually much deeper than that, or actually not deeper, but much more practical than that.
You're gonna say control?
Um,
Because that I
you
think
might
the
characterize it that
I
way.
think the fear of death leads to control.
The fear of death certainly provides a personal impetus to certain behaviors. I think that in terms of religion, even if I don't necessarily uh, buy into everything about a particular religion, I think that religion is a handbook. It is a guide to creating and maintaining a functional society.
And I think that was super necessary 2,000 years
And
ago.
I think it still is.
Oh, I don't think it is anymore.
2,000 years ago, people didn't know how to cook pork.
Hmm.
And so pork is illegal in certain religions
Hmm. Because it was filled with
because
viruses and
it has viruses and they
parasites,
didn't know how to cook it.
and they would
And so
die.
when people ate pork, they died.
Hmm.
And
Don't do it.
so you told people don't eat pork,
Hmm.
and they do it anyway because, well, what basis do you have for saying don't eat pork?
Hmm.
And then people said, well, if that doesn't work, hold on a second. Well, don't eat pork, and if you do eat pork, well, you're gonna burn in an eternal fire for all of eternity,
Because
and
that's the only thing that
be
would
tortured.
scare people.
Exactly. Now, you don't have to believe in the eternal fire, but you do have to understand that eating pork without cooking it properly will kill you, right?
Hmm.
And we nowadays know how to cook pork so it won't kill us. So we, even Christians and whatnot, disregard
Disregard it.
the uh, the rules about eating pork.
Great. We're smarter now. We can disregard the old fables, the old nonsense.
Yes, and now that we've figured out how to get around that problem, we disregard that part or that teaching in the Bible or the Torah or whatever it is, wherever it comes from, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So if we accept religion as a handbook for having a good society, and we know that there are certain things that we can dispense with
Hmm.
now that we have overcome those challenges. I will posit or suggest that we have not overcome the challenges of humanity.
No, we still have problems. There are still people who would uh, eat rape for dinner and murder for breakfast, and those are bad people that we need to deal with in a
Sure,
societal way.
but
But telling
under
them that they should be
under
afraid
what
of hellfire forever is not the way to do it anymore. We have grown past that. We have we should shed the training wheels of society. And that's the way I would describe that religion. The way you're describing it back then, don't eat the pork, don't hurt people, don't murder people or else you'll burn in the
Well, I
Fires of
think
hell
it
are
goes back
training
to.
wheels,
Um,
societal training wheels.
I don't think that you have a leg to stand on for telling people they shouldn't do something, though. If you don't have an
Of course I
objective
don't.
moral order.
Of course I don't. It's subjective. I'm going to try to convince them that this makes for a better world. This
They don't
makes
care.
for a better world. Well, then I need to explain that to them the best
No,
way
they
that I
don't care.
can. They don't care. Then when they break the laws of the society, we'll put them in a box. We'll put them in a concrete box. Not happy about it, but if they will not stop harming people, if I suggest to them human freedom is good and right and you have harmed someone's human freedom and they refuse, I'm going to put them in a box. You're right that sometimes people don't care and there is no right answer except violence. I just want to make that violence as correct as possible.
I think that you have. I think that in the end, in your brain, there is an objective moral order, but you're not willing to admit it.
No, I don't think there is. There is not an objective moral order.
Because everything you
Objective
describe sounds like an objective moral order, or at
because
least the enforcement of one.
you can't have an objective moral. Morals don't exist. Can you fill this cup with morals? I don't think you can because it is not an
What?
object.
No, you're wrong. Because there is, and hold on a second. Are you vegetarian?
No.
Are humans just animals?
Yes.
Why is it wrong to kill a human and not wrong to kill an animal?
Vegan ethics are complicated, and the vegans are probably kind of right. I just don't want to be a vegan. Vegan ethics are superior to mine. I,
I think that's an
I simply
insane
won't.
statement.
How is that insane? Vegan ethics of not harming the cows or the 50 shrimp that I ate for dinner um, is ethically better than what the position I'm in right now. It's just that I can't personally follow that ethical code.
Okay,
I
so
try
you
to. I,
agree with
I
the
tend
ethical
to.
code. You
I,
just
I can see that
don't
it is
follow it.
important and better, and I try to follow it when I can. I do like meatless Mondays or something along those lines. On Monday, I don't eat any meat. There's the plan. Small steps, tiny little insignificant things. Waldo not eating meat on Monday isn't changing the entire uh, cattle industry within the country. I dig that. But Waldo doing that and then telling everybody else that they should do that, and then maybe telling your friends, hey, just go one day a week without meat. If the entire country starts to do that, does it change the cattle industry within the country?
I'm not talking about the industry. I'm talking about the morals themselves.
Yeah, and the
If
only
it,
reason
hold
the
on,
only reason I would do that is because the morals are good.
if humans are just animals, then
Hmm.
killing another human being and killing a cow should have the same weight.
From a subjective moral order, you could argue that.
No,
It's
from
not
an
the
objective
moral
one.
order.
If
No,
that's
from
your objective,
no, no.
Well, hold on.
From you're making a subjective moral order
I'm
there, and
asking
I'm just
why
not
it
a.
is that
Why
you
is it?
value humans over animals.
Because they have uh, autonomy and the um, what's the word? Sentient life is more valuable than non-sentient life.
You mean sapient?
Sentient, sapient, maybe. They're similar. Cows are sapient, but humans are sentient, right? Uh,
Backwards.
have I got it backwards? Okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, uh, anybody who can think, I think, therefore I am. And by killing that person, you have stopped that person thinking. You have stopped that they're no longer I am. That is why you don't kill humans. This is bad. They're sapient human beings. We like that. I think that that is a valuable thing within this universe. and you're harming that person's freedom. That person
Okay.
has, I suspect
Now,
that you
a
do in fact have
person.
feelings and emotions. Uh,
Oh, certainly I do.
I think that you do, and I
You've
think that
you've
everybody
witnessed them.
does. I
You've
know
seen me get angry.
I think that
Uh,
everybody has those, and by harming you, I have harmed those things. So I should pay I should have a consequence, and I don't want that to happen. But that cow also has less sapience. It has less sentience. It is a cow. I recognize that uh, the vegan ethics say that this cow is 100% the same as a person. I just don't believe them completely. Their
I
ethics are
think that
better than mine. That's all.
if we argued long enough
Hmm.
about the moral order, we would end up coming to a conclusion that results in what we would at least approximate as an objective one, regardless of whether there is a God or not that mandates it.
No,
And I'll give you an example.
because there will still be exceptions, loopholes, and it will be so many loopholes, so many exceptions, so many wild ass what ifs that it won't be objective any longer.
Exceptions and loopholes necessarily are uh, different circumstances which you would apply different rules for. That doesn't mean they're not objective.
Can you find all the loopholes? Can you create all the what ifs? You will never, never, never run out of what ifs. And if you can never run out of what ifs, it is not objective.
You can compare the what ifs to the objectivity that you already have and apply what you have and then make judgments. Yes, it's
That sounds
subjective
very
about.
subjective to me.
Don't interrupt me when I say it's yes, it's subjective. You can make those judgments, and then sometimes those judgments can actually be wrong.
Yes, they can.
Yes, but we should strive to approximate the objective moral order. I think there actually is one. I think that the this idea of a subjective moral order, the gangbanger that drives by and shoots 15 people, or rather fires 15 shots and kills 4 people,
Hmm.
um, doesn't think they did anything wrong.
Right. I agree that some people can kill people and think that they haven't done anything wrong.
Okay.
That's because an objective moral order cannot exist. It doesn't exist within the human brain. It doesn't exist anywhere.
Well, if there is no objective moral order
Hmm.
and they didn't think they did anything wrong, should we punish them for it?
Yes,
Why?
because they're a part of our subjective moral order. We have determined that those 4 people that he shot had autonomy, they had sentience and sapience, and he has taken that from them.
And you're saying that we should just be the deciders. What if that guy
We should
was
have a
the
system that
president?
just makes that decision. We should have a system that makes those decisions. We should have a system that benefits the most people with the most freedom.
I think that you've lost the plot entirely
Uh,
because
we're
hold on
talking
a
about big
second.
things, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about big things. What about the Aztecs?
Not the Aztecs, okay? The
They
Aztecs,
sacrificed people to
they're
whoever, I forget who.
standing on top of a very big pyramid and they're chopping heads off and rolling them down. Great. They are
Well, they
also
thought that was
wrong.
right.
They thought it was right and they were wrong
How do you know they're wrong?
because I'm telling them that they are.
Well, that's just
I've
like your
looked at it
opinion,
and I'm
man.
telling them, great. They're only that's all that exists, man. Opinions. There is no uh, I'm going to draw a chart for next week because I've drawn this chart out already. I love where we're at. I'm glad we're here, and I'm going to draw you a chart. I might even bring our cyber specialist Matt on next week because he helped me draw the chart. I drew it several years ago, and you are bouncing around that chart. But I think that if we draw the chart out and it's laid out in front of you, we can follow it and see where the problems are. And guess what? That chart is not completely objective. It will be wrong sometimes. It will be subjective based on the things that I see and how I see them and how I put them in places.
Before you show me the chart,
Mhm.
I'll encourage you to look at it and ponder the idea of an objective moral order versus
I
a
will
subjective one.
I will think about that, but I think that's an oxymoron. Again, objective, moral. Morals are not objects. They cannot be measured with a ruler. Morals,
Objective is not related to objects. No.
objective,
Objective
is
is
not related to objects.
related to
My man,
this is a fact versus this is a feeling. This is a fact versus this is an opinion. This is the truth. This is what you think.
objective is a person or their judgment not influenced by personal feelings or opinions in considering and representing facts. Facts. Morals aren't facts. Morals aren't facts.
I think they can be.
No. Then they would be called
Well,
facts. They're morals.
morals should be derived from facts, should they not?
They are in the same ballpark as uh, intelligent thought, but facts are measurable. Morals are not. Moral, concerned with the
Sort of
principles of right and wrong behavior and the goodness or badness of human character. That is what a
where I
moral
was
is.
going
You can't
with
measure
the hold
the
on, where
goodness
I
and
was going
badness
with
of a
the
human character.
question
Mhm.
is I think that religion is a handbook. I think that the things that make a society work. We've had societies for thousands of years. We've had empires rise and fall,
Mhm.
many cultures rise and fall.
Mhm. Some better,
We're
some
just at the
worse.
latest iteration,
We are the latest one. Yes, I agree. Temporally
or at
speaking,
least the
we are the
current one.
latest one.
Yes, you're the latest one, temporally speaking. Religions took rules that were observed over the course, in some cases, of thousands of years,
Sometimes they
and
did.
said,
Yes.
hey, if you want a society that works, here's the rules.
Okay. And sometimes they made shit up. There weren't any
They
angels.
they said, here's the rules if you want a society that works.
Hmm.
Also, don't eat pork, it'll kill you.
Also, this
But
guy came back from the dead, which didn't happen. And also, this guy walked on water, which didn't happen.
it doesn't have to be. Well, you're missing the point. The point is that if you want a functioning society, we have handbooks for that. And it brings us right back to our bridge analogy, I suppose, is you have a place you want to get to as a liberal, but that bridge has not been built yet. You're going to drive us off the edge. Human beings need a set of rules now, and they still will for probably a few centuries
Society
at
needs
least.
rules. I agree. Society needs rules. I'm on board. Let's build a system of rules. Let's argue with each other about what those rules ought to be. Let's meet on a YouTube and discuss what the rules should be.
I'm just telling you that the rules have already been laid out. It's very easy. You look at a religion and you see, or actually, not just one, but all of the religions, and find their commonalities, because those commonalities are the handbook for a functional society. And then you say, okay, what is it? Why is it? Maybe if you study the history, you say, why is it that this religion took form in the first place? Why is it that someone took the time to write this down? Why is it that it became accepted universally? Why is it that it has persisted for thousands of years? It's because it's a handbook.
Great.
It's a handbook that works.
Can I take the best parts and chop out the parts where they say that bats are birds and rabbits chew their cud and that you shouldn't eat shellfish?
Certainly.
Okay,
You
so
can.
that
But,
is
hold on.
subjective.
No, it's not.
Subjective,
Because
based on or
you've taken a
influenced by
look at the
personal
handbook.
feelings, tastes, or opinions.
You've taken a
There.
look at the handbook,
Uh-huh.
and then you've seen that X, Y, and Z is no longer the case.
Like the
For
rules for
example,
slavery
the rules for pork
or slavery
can't-
that are in the Bible.
or slavery. Sure.
Great. As Kyle brings up, there are rules in the Bible about how to treat your slaves. Now, based on my personal feelings, my tastes, and my opinions, I'm going to remove those from my society and my societal rules handbook moving forward.
Okay.
That is the definition of subjective.
It's not. It's an
It is,
update
though.
of the. It's an update. It's not a subjective change. It's an objective update.
No. Based on my feelings and opinions about slavery, I'm going to remove it from society. That is a subjective change. It was okay back then. I'm telling you that it is not now. Subjective. If objectivity were possible, it would have been found by now. And it can't be because it is all within our brains. Definitions exist only within the human brain. Emotions exist
disagree
only
with that
within human brains.
assertion as well.
How the definitions that I'm looking up online right now exist only within the human brain.
Totally silly. No.
How is that silly? We
it is
invented
possible.
language. Language is a device that we invented.
Language conveys meanings.
Yes, and if
And-
you don't share those meanings with me, it's worthless. It doesn't accomplish anything. Definitions aren't measurements. Measurements exist. Measurements is a thing of physics, but words can't be measured.
No,
Ideas
but words do
aren't
have
measured.
meaning.
Words have meaning if we give them meaning. Words have meaning if we all agree that they have that meaning. Words are very subjective. And the morals that you're describing are situations either written or talked about or described with that language. So everything
At some
is
point,
subjective. Mm-hmm.
if you let the morals become too lax,
Mm-hmm. Too much freedom.
you end up with situations where there is no protection of rights.
I can agree to that. I can comprehend that. I think that is a true statement that you just said. If the rules are too willy-nilly, lax, and not enforced, then people will be harmed.
Do you think that we're already at that point or not?
God, no.
What
I'm
about
close.
if I park my car in San Francisco?
That's anarchy you're describing. That's anarchy
Uh-huh.
you're describing.
I am describing that, and
Okay.
you are the one advocating for it.
I'm not an anarchist. I want the state to have power, authority, and rules.
Okay. So when I park my car in San Francisco and it gets
Uh-huh.
broken into
Uh-huh.
because I have a backpack in the back seat,
Mm-hmm.
and leftists have controlled San Francisco for 70 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and my car is broken into, and I call the cops, and nothing happens because the cops won't do anything about it. They won't look for the criminal. They won't prosecute the criminal.
That sounds like a bad system that ought to be fixed.
I'm gonna go further, and you just looked up the 10 most dangerous cities.
Mm-hmm. St.
And
Louis, Detroit, Baltimore, Memphis, Little Rock, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Albuquerque, Kansas City, and Stockton. Ain't San Francisco.
well,
Because the
San
right-wing media
Francisco
lies
just
about
doesn't.
that.
Well, that's fine. All of those also are dangerous cities
They are.
that I recognize.
Okay.
And how many of them are governed by leftists?
Probably most of them.
I think all. I actually think all of them are.
Because that's where people are. People in
What?
cities vote Democratic. Because being in and around people moves you to the left. Being isolated in the middle of a cornfield makes you right wing. Turns you that way. Being in a large city with lots of people, seeing a diversity of people on a regular basis, turns you left. It moves you left.
Moves you left and then turns your cities into the most dangerous places in the country. Awesome.
Because that's where all the people are, man. There are very few crimes I can commit against a person while I am alone in the middle of a wheat field.
Do you think this is a or do you not think this is a per capita thing? Because you can look up per capita.
Well, I think it is an obvious thing. I think it is a thing that's going to happen, and people are going to argue about it forever. The point, I comprehend what you're saying, that if the rules are too lax and these people break into your car, then you have been harmed, and you're right. And if the system isn't making it difficult for these people to break into your car, then the system is failing. And if that system is allowing people to break the rules and harm other people's freedoms, it's a bad system. Let's make a better system. I'm on board.
Okay.
I'm not.
How do you get people to follow that system?
Leftists aren't just saying, "Oh, well, that's just they just broke your car and stole your backpack." It's not a big deal.
Well, that's how it
That's
feels
not what they're
when my
telling you.
car gets broken into and I call the cops and I say, "Hey, my car got broken into," and they say, "Sorry about that. Bye."
Yeah, they suck.
It's fucking infuriating, isn't
You're
it?
right. Maybe we should defund them and stop giving them so much money if they're not
Well,
doing a
if they're
good
not
job.
going to do anything anyway.
If they're not going to do anything anyway, we should defund them. Great.
But
So
hey, we have cops to enforce certain rules, don't we?
Subjectively, you just accepted defund the police. So there are situations in which you could agree with certain things. So
Totally ridiculous.
depending on the situation, I know that's what I'm saying.
I was being
Situationally,
facetious.
I know.
But
Situationally, I don't think it's good to kill people, but situationally, you can defend yourself with deadly force if necessary. See how subjectives matters. The situation you're in matters. Situational moral order is probably what I would call myself.
regardless of what the
Situational.
situation is, there's still an objective
No.
moral order there. No, I think that you are misunderstanding what my argument is here. Then
Situational moral order is what I'm pushing for.
situational is not a thing. Subjective is your personal opinion and feeling.
Right.
Objective is whether or not it was correct.
No,
Objectively,
objective is
like the
factuals. Facts.
Factual.
Objects
Right.
are facts.
So, when we talk about a guy like Kyle Rittenhouse,
Mm-hmm. That's subjective top to bottom. Not
100% objective.
absolutely not. Just no. I
Yep.
don't know. Absolutely not objective. Objective.
Objective. 100%.
It is only about people's feelings and emotions.
No.
He felt like he needed to go protest. He felt like he needed to be there. He felt like the cops were on his side. He felt like this person was threatening. The person who
Hold
attacked Kyle Rittenhouse felt like he was a bad guy. He was arguing his positions with him at a protest.
Objectively speaking, no. He had the right to be where he was. He had the right to have the firearm that he had. Somebody came up to him and attacked him, and he ran away.
At random,
At first.
just at random. He was minding his own business. He wasn't doing anything controversial. He was just politely standing around where he was supposed to be. No.
Yes.
Subjectives matter.
No.
Subjectives matter.
Excuse me. He was absolutely 100% within his rights to be where he
Was he at a
was, doing
protest?
what he was.
Was he
What?
there to he was there to protest.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't there to protest. He was there
No.
to protect
Uh-huh.
private property that wasn't his
At the behest of
from
his
the
brother, who
other
was
people.
there at the behest of his brother's friend.
Yeah,
Yes.
they were protecting random businesses
Did
that
he have the
weren't
right to be there?
theirs. Maybe.
Objectively?
There
Did he
is no
have the right
such
to
thing
be
as
there?
objective.
Okay. Well, did he have the right to be there?
Did he have the right to be there? Yes.
Yes, he did. Did he have the right to have the gun?
Subjectively, I would say no, but according to the laws that exist now, he did.
Okay. So objectively, yes, he had the right to be there.
Great.
And
And
then
why was he there?
when
Subjective
he
reasons.
was attacked by somebody,
Hmm.
he ran away first, right?
Why did he get
Did
attacked?
he
You're skipping a
performed
step.
his
You're skipping a step. Just randomly standing here, all of a sudden somebody just comes and punches me in the face. That's not how it happened.
the
He
first
was
guy that
there was a
attacked him
protest. He knew there was a
was
protest. He
belligerent and
went
he was
looking for trouble.
no,
He
no.
was looking for trouble.
No, he was actually attacked
Yes,
pretty much out of the blue
out of the blue.
by this
That
guy.
person,
Yep.
that guy, had never spoken to him, never said anything to him beforehand, never seen him before, said, hey, there's a kid with a gun, I'm going to attack him with my skateboard. That's how that happened.
You're
I don't
thinking
think
of the
that's
wrong
how that
guy.
happened. I thought there was a skateboard involved.
Nope.
I could be
Second
wrong.
guy was the skateboard.
Second guy was the skateboard.
First guy literally did attack him unprovoked.
I don't believe you. I literally do not believe you.
Then
I
watch the
don't
court.
believe
Watch
that's what
watch the
happened.
case. Watch the video. Watch all of the court proceedings. I did.
That's not objective
First guy.
either. There is no objective, man. There isn't.
There is objective.
No.
Yes.
Only within the realm
There
of
is
like
right and
physics.
there is wrong, and that is objective.
Absolutely not. There's no such thing. Right and wrong exist only within the human brain. Right and wrong only exist within the human brain.
What an absurd idea.
How is that absurd? Is there a time on this planet that humans didn't exist? 7 billion years ago, there were no humans. Was there right and wrong back then? No.
Was
There
there
wasn't.
anything capable of comprehending right and wrong?
You just used the word comprehend, man. I said good and right and wrong only exist within the human brain, and then you start talking about comprehension. Where does comprehension come from? Human brains.
Ah, man, you don't get it.
I don't.
You the the idea of right and wrong as an objective thing. Yes, you have to be able to comprehend it. That's why we don't hold animals responsible for killing another animal.
You just said idea. Where do ideas come from? Human brains. There is an idea of right and wrong. I agree. Right and wrong is an idea. It's not objective. It is a human thought process.
It is. There is an objective right and wrong.
No, absolutely not. I would love to talk to you about this next week. We're going to bring links. We're going to bring videos, and we're gonna go over it.
Okay.
Next week, there is no objective right and wrong, according to me.
And also, we have to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse because you're wrong. But,
I don't want to talk about him anymore. Subjectively, he's wrong. Objectively, he's right. That's all there is to it. That's why you're on his side. Objectively, he is correct. You value objective things. Subjectively, he's wrong, and I value subjective things. So I say he's wrong.
Yep, there is an objective moral order, and he was in the right in terms of objectively.
Great. I'm telling you there is no objective moral order, and subjectively, he was wrong. And we put different value. You and I put different value on different things, and some of those things are objective. And on your side, generally objective, and my side, they're subjective. And because chat is literally asking for no more Rittenhouse, but that's just damn it, chat. Anyway, uh, subjective and objective are things that cannot mix. They cannot meet. And
You're right. I'm just right and you're wrong.
what
There
your
there you go.
objective, and I think your objective point of view is severely limiting and will actually lead to human stagnation.
Negative. But
It's
maybe a conversation for next week.
yes. Please tune in next week, Mr. Kyle, Mr. Shinsinto, as we determine what is and is not real. Oh, hi. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button, press the subscribe button. Uh, if you want to tell me how right I am, feel free to leave a comment. If you want to tell me how wrong I am, leave a comment too. That's good. Um, this is just kind of a hobby for me, so I appreciate you coming by, giving it a watch, and pressing the YouTube buttons. Thanks.